Hey, I had a new student start with me last night, and we covered some cool stuff. We got off to a great start. So, one thing that he learned that I had to kind of work on him with for just say, look, I see what you're doing, but I'm going to have you try it a little different way. That's the A chord. He had it kind of like this. And most people will say, well, yeah, but then I can slide down to the E and up to a D. Okay, that's kind of cool. But man, this is kind of like a mess, I think. That index on the third string, middle on the fourth string, ring on the second string. It's okay. But I said, I'll accept that, but I'm still going to try to get you to try this. Middle ring pinky, and also just lay your index flat. So, keep that what you have, but if you want, but try it my way. And he did, and he was very good about that. So then he was showing me that he was doing some like rock and roll rhythm, like a. Only thing was, this is a common thing you'll see beginners doing, is they'll lift up. Notice that was A, and it does conform with what I was saying about. One of the best ways to hit an A is just hold it with your pointer flat across the second fret. That's a good position for just, because then these middle ring pinky are ready to move up the neck and get other things, which we'll get around to eventually. So he was showing me that rock and roll rhythm, except he was lifting up his index like, oops. I'm kind of exaggerating, but basically that finger lifting in the long run is not going to be good. You're going to want to just lock into that and anchor it. I tell my students that a lot. I mention that in videos. So, but I still see people lifting up their pointer. But he knew that he's going to go from A to the D, back to the A, and to the E. But he was using his thumb. He was kind of, which kind of works. You know, the fingers are cool because you can feel the strings. The pick is something between your hand and the guitar, so it's one more step to make it a little more complicated and difficult. But in the long run, your thumb is going to get pretty tired of rubbing those strings. That edge of your thumb will get pretty raw. Maybe you'll get a callus. Again, it's cool to use your fingers. You could, if I was going to like maybe dig in on that, I might just use thumb, index, middle, go kind of squeeze them. Or the thumb. It gets tiring. So I think the pick is a better way in the long run. Alright, a lot of stuff is going to overlap. So what I was saying about laying that index flat, you're going to also be able to do middle and ring. So my student thought that sounded pretty cool, that adding that middle and ring on this. Let me take it away and do it simple. Now I'll add the middle and ring like this. So it's like 0, 0, 3, 4 on the A string. Open, open, C, C sharp. And then on the fourth string it's E, E, F sharp, E, 2, 2, 4, 2. So it's 0, 0, 3, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2. And notice that pointer finger is anchored. Alright, let's just mess around with a metronome. The next step after you learn this is, get it to where you're not struggling. You can hold the pick and hit those strings and keep your index finger in place and do all that. Then do it in time. just messing around there. So you might have noticed when I went to D, I often use index and middle on the second and third frets. So I got a D, A, D right there, and then I got to compensate. My ring finger can hit that 3, 4. Or you could bring in ring and pinky. Gets kind of messy. So you got that middle finger on the second string, third fret, as an insurance policy, because otherwise if you lay your finger flat, you run the risk of sounding like the Carpenters. It's just too dreamy, so that's messed up. You want to have your middle finger there. Then you got your E. And you can kind of mix and match as you notice I was doing. You can also get that pinky in there for. That's a G on the 5th fret of the 4th string. So that's kind of, it gives you a dominant 7th flavor. Kind of cool. What else? And then the E, of course, is just the same thing, one string over. So your index is just shifting from A to D to A to E in whatever order you want to do with that. And it does sound kind of generic. There's a lot of songs that use that kind of simple power chord rock with the accents, the kind of melodic movement and accents with the ring, maybe middle and pinky, kind of like a boogie woogie bass pattern or something. So yeah, you're going to want to bring in a metronome and make sure you can lock in. Most students kind of speed up or slow down or kind of drift, which I do too, but the metronome is really good for getting your timing kind of straightened out. All right, what else? I got students coming in. It's kind of a heavy week of lessons here, heavy weekend of gigs coming up. We'll be doing a lot of practicing. I just kind of went through, I've got a new album in the can. I'm going to redo some drums on about 10 songs. Got a drummer booked. And then I kind of listed a bunch that are complete. So that's, whoo, nice to get it organized into like 3 folders. And I know exactly, I got to maybe touch up a couple guitar and bass parts that are they're drifting a little bit. But otherwise, I'm all kind of, whew. It's going to be weird once I get that album done. I'll have all my songs recorded. I'll have to think of some more. And usually they're like unfinished old songs, or, you know, they just hit me like a bolt of lightning. But it's wild to get those songs out of your head and onto, you know, when they're recorded and they're sent off to be mixed, you're just like, I'm empty. You know, no more carrying them up here. They're released. And once they're, you know, out to the public, we'll see what happens. I might get something in a movie or a TV show, which happens once in a while, which is kind of cool. Or, you know, a lot of times my records just sort of, they're pretty stealthy, man. They just kind of, they're very underground. So, not all right. Well, students are coming soon, so I just wanted to show you what another guy was working on and kind of touch up on some of his things. Yeah, if you play an A like that, I understand, and but I don't really like it. Okay, so, you know, I'll accept it, but I'm going to try to change it to this or that. All right, thanks for letting me share a little bit, and I hope your practice is coming along real good today. Keep up the good work.